Broadcasting live from the HR Media Control Room here at YouStreamRadio.com. Yours truly, Don McKay, in here. And don't make those faces at me. People making funny faces at me. Every Tuesday, of course, we do the DMV Wrestling Remix, where we go over this week in professional wrestling. And, of course, 347-326-9396 is the number, info@dmvwrestling.com to send me any questions. I will be joined momentarily by the Jammer, Jeff Daniels, and we're going to talk about the incident that happened last night, live Monday Night Raw with Jerry the King Lawler. And we're also going to chronicle his career and speak a little bit about the impact that he has had thus far over his 40-year plus career. I would say that last night we probably saw the last match that we will see from Jerry the King Lawler, unless we go back and look at tapes. And he is 62 years old, so I think that we've definitely got our money's worth, so to speak. Of course, those that did not have the opportunity to catch it live, Jerry the King Lawler had a heart attack during the WWE Raw show. Now, whenever something like this happens, whenever there's a death or something like that, people pose the question of whether the show should end or whether it should have continued. I'm of the mindset that the show must go on, and yes, he had a heart attack, but they were in a live arena with about 60,000 people. You couldn't just stop the show, all right? And for the people watching at home, I think it would have been worse if we had stopped the show. It's a tough decision to make when you're put in that type of situation, predicament. What to do? What is the best the best course to take? Now there was a lot of talk. Of course, when Owen Hart died, should they have stopped the show? And it's really weird. I mean, you have a live audience that paid money to get in there. Now, they would have had to refund people. I mean, it would have just been all kind of mass confusion. And just to update you on Jerry the King Lawler's, he's in critical but stable condition. And as I said earlier, he's 62 years old and suffered a heart attack while he was doing his commentary duties just last night live on WWE Raw. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the procedure that he has undergone. Monday, when the heart attack took place, they were in Montreal, Quebec. Now, he was taken to a cardiac care unit at a Montreal hospital and was heavily sedated after undergoing a heart procedure. And that happened yesterday in Canada. In the procedure, a balloon was put in at least one of his clogged arteries to open it. A small wire tube was then inserted to help prevent the artery from closing again. And that's really what happens. You have a clogged artery which is attempting to close, and that causes what we call the heart attack. This morning, Tuesday morning, as we are recording this Tuesday night, Jerry the King Lawler is still in the cardiac care unit. All his vitals are stable. WWE released in a statement, and they, of course, said that they will provide additional information as it becomes available. Now, this is a very sad situation. Lawler's ex-wife, Stacey Carter, confirmed that this took place, and an ex-wrestler Stacey Carter, that is. He had a stent and a balloon put in, and right now he's heavily sedated, is what Stacey Carter tweeted, the ex-wife of Jerry the King Lawler. Now, while the show was going on, he was calling a match between Kane, Daniel Bryan, and the Primetime Players. Michael Cole was doing the commentary. Midway through the match, the commentary suddenly stopped, and what sounded to be snoring sounds could be heard. Medical personnel at ringside immediately started CPR on Lawler, whose heart had stopped beating. Medical personnel at ringside immediately sent for others. They rushed him to the back. Lawler, who still wrestles occasionally, had competed in a match earlier that night about 45 minutes before he suffered the heart attack. They had to bring him back, and if they did not have those things at ringside, this story could be even more tragic. The wrestling community was in an uproar at this. The commentary stopped. They did not do any commentary after that took place. Michael Cole updated the crowd several times, visibly shaken, visibly upset. Contrary to the on-air roles that they play, Cole and Lawler are very close and good friends, and that was very clear. That definitely was clear. Now let's get into a little bit about Lawler. His child, Brian Lawler, I guess he's a semi-retired wrestler. But I want to talk a little bit about the career of Jerry the King Lawler. Got his start in pro wrestling very, very different from most people. The King of Memphis is what he is commonly referred to as, he's currently signed to WWE, obviously, but he made his bones and got his fame well before he even entered the WWE. Lawler has held 168 championships throughout his illustrious career. Overall, Lawler has held more championships than any other current WWE wrestler, though he has never won any WWE championships since joining the company. Now, how ironic is that? While working in Memphis as a DJ, Lawler's artistic ability attracted the attention of a local promoter, and the two made an agreement where Lawler would give free publicity in exchange for wrestling training. Lawler debuted in 1970 and won his first championship in 1971, winning a battle royal. He soon won the NWA Southern Tag Team Championship with the managerial service of Sam Bass, and his partner was Jim White. About 2 or 3 years later, in 1974, he began feuding with Jackie Fargo, who had been his trainer and mentor, and this led to a match for the NWA Southern Heavyweight Championship. In July of that year, Lawler was booked to win the belt and the title of the King of Wrestling. Lawler began his career as a heel, became a face after splitting from Bass in 1974. November of 1979, while working in the CWA, Continental Wrestling Association, Lawler defeated Billy Graham to become the CWA World Champion. In 80, his career was put on hold due to a broken leg, but he returned to the ring after several months. In 82, Lawler began a notorious feud with the comedian, the late Andy Kaufman, At the time, Kaufman wrestled women as part of his skits and declared himself the intergender heavyweight champion. Very comical stuff there. But the two went on to have a series of publicity stunts. Lawler later gave two power drivers to Kaufman during an impromptu match, sending him to the hospital. On July 29th, Lawler slapped Kaufman in the face on an episode of Late Night with David Letterman. Kaufman responded by throwing coffee on Lawler. Years later, Lawler appeared as himself in the Kaufman biopic, Man on the Moon. The movie revealed that Lawler's feud with Kaufman had been kayfabed. And Lawler claimed that not only was his entire feud with Kaufman staged, but the two were actually good friends. Okay. In '83, Lawler won the AWA International Championship, defeating Austin Idol. He defeated Ken Patera in July of that same year to begin his second reign as the international champion. He also held the Mid-Atlantic Championship title, where he defeated Macho Man Randy Savage for it in '84. Lawler also went to Japan in '85 and won the Pacific title there a few months after arriving. Returned to the States and defeated Bill Dundee for the AWA International Championship. He feuded with Tommy Rich, Austin Idol, and Paul E. Dangerously throughout 1987. When the animosity began after a controversy over the AWA World title involving Nick Bockwinkel. During the feud, the trio defeated Lawler in a steel cage match, cut his hair, and caused a riot in the Mid-South Coliseum. Now, in that day and age, inciting a riot was something that they set out to do and strived for. Very surprising, not something that we could even handle today in today's day and age. If you're just tuning in, yours truly, Dominic K, the DMV Wrestling Remix radio show. Today we're going to be talking about Jerry the King Lawler, and we're running down some of his accomplishments in professional wrestling over his 40-year career. Lawler eventually won the AWA title from Curt Hennig, later to become Mr. Perfect Curt Hennig. During his reign, Lawler feuded with the world-class champion Kerry Von Erich and defeated Von Erich in 1988 to unify the titles. Soon after, Lawler's issues with Vern Gagne led to a departure from the AWA. 91 and 92, while working in the USWA, Lawler and Jeff Jarrett teamed up against the Moondogs. They won the USWA World Tag Team titles. Now, just running down some of these historic events just puts you back in the mindset of the golden era of wrestling, which is that period that we're referring to, the golden era of wrestling. Now, the time of the WWE, he had two, I guess a lot of people don't know, but he had two stints as the WWE champion. I'm sorry, as in the WWE. Now, Lawler began his WWF career as a ring announcer in '92 on the Superstars of Wrestling show. From '93 to '95, he feuded with Bret Hart and the rest of the Hart family. The feud began at King of the Ring when Lawler interrupted Hart's victory ceremony and actually attacked Bret. Now, it's really hard to believe, but that was 20 years ago. Okay, Lawler's 62 now, and he was 42 at the time of that feud. Lawler claimed that he was the only true king in the World Wrestling Federation, then, as it was then known. And the two were scheduled to wrestle at SummerSlam to settle their dispute. At the event, however, Lawler came to the ring on crutches and claimed he could not wrestle because of injuries suffered in a car accident. Hart faced Lawler's court jester, Doink the Clown. Instead, he beat him by submission. Lawler then attacked Hart, revealing that he was not injured. Hart defeated Lawler by submission but refused to release the sharpshooter. As a result, the referee reversed the decision and awarded the title of Undisputed King of the World Wrestling Federation to Jerry Lawler. Now, simultaneously, in the form of cross-promotion, Lawler engaged in a bitter feud with Vince McMahon, who at the time was never acknowledged as the actual owner of the WWF, as it was called, back in the USWA. There, Lawler played the babyface to his hometown Memphis audience, whereas McMahon was being portrayed as a smug heel intent on dethroning Lawler as the king of professional wrestling. As part of the cross-promotion, McMahon, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, John Gonzalez, Tatanka, Randy Savage would be appearing on USWA television to further the feud. While the program continued in USWA, the feud between Lawler and McMahon would not be acknowledged on WWE television. The Hart family, which was Bret, Owen, Bruce, and Keith, were scheduled to face a team captained by Lawler in an elimination match at the Survivor Series. However, Shawn Michaels had to take Lawler's place because Lawler was facing some legal problems. As a result, the feud between Lawler and Vince back in USWA was also abruptly stopped. Lawler did not face Bret Hart at another pay-per-view until the first In Your House pay-per-view, where he beat Hart after Hakushi and his manager interfered. This set up the infamous and the famous Kiss My Foot match at King of the Ring 95, where Bret won. As a result, Lawler was forced to kiss Bret's feet. The feud took one final turn when Lawler introduced his dentist, Isaac Yankem, DDS, after Hart defeated Yankem by disqualification. The feud quickly disappeared. Following the legal troubles which kept him out of Survivor Series in '93, Lawler eventually returned to the WWF at WrestleMania 10, which was also the first WWF pay-per-view he commentated on. During the main event of the night, Piper served as a special referee for the second WWE Championship match. During this, Lawler began making disparaging remarks about him. Lawler would later berate Piper on episodes of Raw, including bringing out a skinny kid dressed as Piper and forcing him to kiss his feet. This ultimately led to a match of the two at King of the Ring 94, which Lawler lost. His career continued. He had a feud with Doink the Clown and his midget Dink, and competed in Survivor Series with more midgets. In 94, 95, Lawler wrestled briefly for Smoky Mountain Wrestling and still continued to commentate sporadically in the WWF. During his absences, Shawn Michaels filled in for him as a color commentator on Raw, he continued. By 96, Lawler wrestled occasionally on WWF Superstars, where he would take on jobbers while holding a microphone in the ring to essentially do the commentary for his own matches, while occasionally still serving as the official cornerman for Isaac Yankem. After a brief feud with the Ultimate Warrior, Lawler began feuding with the Snake, Jake Roberts, after making fun of Roberts' drug and alcohol problems, and the two wrestled at SummerSlam in 96. As you can see, very storied career for Jerry the King Lawler. His success in pro wrestling continued. In 97, he became heavily involved in the working relationship between WWF and ECW. In interviews and commentary, he referred to the promotion as extremely crappy wrestling, and his frequent insults towards ECW eventually led to the promotion invading, quote-unquote, Monday Night Raw in February 97, and ultimately led to a match with ECW wrestler Tommy Dreamer at ECW's Hardcore Heaven, which Dreamer eventually won. Now, mid-97, Lawler entered the King of the Ring tournament for the first time and advanced to the semifinal rounds, where he defeated Mankind. Yes, he defeated Mankind. By the fall, the new light heavyweight division came about, and Lawler's son, Brian Christopher, also known as Brian Lawler, went on to compete. By 98, though, Lawler rarely wrestled in the WWE and focused on commentary. Despite their feud in the USWA in 93, by 98, Vince McMahon had turned heel in the WWE for the first time and left the announced position, which led to Lawler praising McMahon's name on commentary as part of his heel persona, much to the chagrin of Jim Ross. Absolutely. Now, just tuning in, of course, we are about to go off the air for the live portion of the program. We will be in overtime, and you'll be able to hear us there each and every Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, DMV Wrestling Remix, right here at YouStreamRadio.com. Yours truly, Dominic K. I'm going to sign out for this part of the program. We are going to continue in the overtime for a few minutes as we continue to chronicle the legendary career of Jerry the King Lawler, who is in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you for listening. It was a great career and a great transition, at the, I would say, to the liking of everyone in the WWE. The ECW WWE feud would continue, and Lawler rarely wrestled on TV after 1998, and that is really it. Now, what's weird is that it was McMahon's departure from the commentary team which led to the strong on-air chemistry between Lawler and Ross. This played a key role in the change of Lawler's character. Although he still supported the heels, he showed a sense of right and wrong and would condemn actions of the heels when they went too far. This began when Lawler surprisingly attacked Taz when he started bullying Ross. At a SummerSlam, the King wrestled Taz in defense of Ross. With the creation of the XFL in 2001, Lawler had been given the job as announcer for the new football league. Lawler claims that he never wanted to announce for the XFL, but that he agreed to it after McMahon and Kevin Dunn asked him to. In February of 2001, Stacy the Cat Carter was released by the WWF, and Lawler quit the company in protest. In his account, there was no clear notice as to why she was fired, and when Jim Ross broke the news to him, he stated that he stated that the creative team simply said Stacy had an attitude problem, which probably was the case. But his the long-standing Memphis wrestling promotion continued, and that was a very prosperous time. I know that they frequently sold out buildings and arenas in Memphis, all underneath the watchful eye of Jerry the King Lawler. He also went on later to feud with The Miz and Michael Cole in 2010 and 2011. And many people were pushing for him to win the WWE title from The Miz. He also went on to make it to a match against Cole at WrestleMania in Atlanta, which I had the opportunity to see live. Live and in person. A little known fact about the King, he is the cousin of the Honky Tonk Man. Lawler has been married 3 times and has 2 children, Brian and Kevin, from his first marriage to a lady named Kay. All right, Kay. Now, we can go on and on about Jerry the King Lawler. Lawler has provided his voice for numerous video games in which he appears as a commentator. He's also a playable character in the WWE video games. On February 12th, 2011, Lawler's mother died following a long battle with cancer. And hopefully Jerry the King Lawler will be able to pull through this tragic time and this very sad thing. In closing, a lot of people wanted to see the return of Jim Ross, and I'm thinking that this is probably a way that would get him back, because at least a day of doing nothing. Yep. So there you have it. Chronicling the career of Jerry the King Lawler, yours truly, Diamond K, YouStreamRadio.com, the DMV Wrestling Remix every Tuesday night, 11 p.m. Make sure you log on. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out some of the other shows we have going on. And yours truly, Diamond K, signing out. I will see you next time. Thanks a lot.